Greetings, everyone. Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of The Monster's Den. It's Thursday night. Welcome back, everybody. Let me introduce the gang before we start talking about the movie at hand. Today, we got the king is here, Chris Allo. Chris, everybody missed you. You haven't been on SOT in a couple weeks.
Oh, I'm
Welcome
sorry. I'm good to be back.
Welcome back. Jamie
I pulled an
Laszlo.
Aussie retirement.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Because
Rehab went well.
Never going to last. Ozzy will never go away. Jamie Laszlo's here, all the way from across the pond, from Scotland. Davy Gallagher's here. My buddy from across town, Mr. Dan Brown, is here. And from the great state of Pennsylvania, Craig Kaminski is here. What's up, everybody?
What's going on, everybody?
Good. Hey.
So it's a new review of a fairly new film today. We've had a lot of people asking for a review of the M3GAN film, directed by Gerard Johnstone, his second directorial release. This came out a couple months ago, also produced by Jason Blum and James Wan, right, for the, the Blumhouse production company, distributed by Universal, starring Allison Williams, of course, from Get Out. She was also in the HBO show The Girls.
Yeah.
Violet McGraw, Ronnie Chang, also, who's an actor, comedian's got a nice cast, and budget of $12 million. It has made to date $173 million.
Wow.
I was shocked when I read that. I'm like, holy cow, that is crazy money.
That's a hit, all right.
Right before the holidays, and it's now streaming on, God, what did we see it on?
Peacock,
right? Yes, the great Peacock streaming service, which has been doing a pretty good job of bringing some of these theatrical horror films to the streaming service fairly shortly after they're in the.
Yeah, because Amazon's charging $20 for it.
Yeah,
you have to find these things.
Yeah, you do. It's always interesting trying to find out where these are going to appear on, right? Which is really cool. So we all watched this film recently, either saw it in the theaters or streamed it or what have you, and we've all got our opinions on it. And this is this like a modern day Chucky Child's Play with AI themes, right, for 2023? Possibly. Mr. Allo, what your take on M3GAN?
I enjoyed this. I have seen a lot of between going to the theater and watching stuff on both Shudder and Screenbox. I've seen a lot of modern horror films, and to me, the overwhelming majority of them suck. Which includes Cocaine Bear and Winnie the Pooh and lots of other shit I've seen recently. But I was shocked that I really enjoyed M3GAN the first time I saw the theatrical cut. I mean, it's nothing new. It is absolutely Chucky meets RoboCop and Terminator. But I thought it was very smartly written and directed. It flowed really well. It pulls at your heartstrings at times. I laughed quite a few times. I thought it worked. The first time I saw it, I did feel, of course, it was the theatrical version is PG-13. I did miss a little bit of the blood and gore, and having watched the unrated version, which is streaming on Peacock, yeah, it's a little gorier. I would have liked more.
So not that much different then.
To me, okay, I guess this is enough to really go from a PG-13 to, they're calling it unrated, but okay, this would have been I assume, if it did go for a rating, the R-rated cut. And listen, nowadays, as you guys know, you can get away with a lot and still get an R rating. It's not like it was in the 80s.
Yeah.
I actually wish it was gorier, because I actually read, which I think I sent to you guys, there was an interview with a producer or director who said, oh, yeah, this was before the Peacock version came out. Said, oh, yeah, there's a lot we cut out. And having watched it, there was a few things. There was extra cursing, the ear pulling scene, which I didn't know when I watched I didn't notice that was extra gory. I didn't notice it to me. I absolutely noticed when the old lady was getting it in the face with the power washer. When the one guy gets stabbed in the elevator, that did seem a little gorier. And when the guy gets his throat cut in the elevator, and I did notice the cursing. There was a couple extra F bombs. But either, and apparently, one article I read said that somehow the unrated version is 6 seconds shorter than the theatrical version, even though there's more. So I don't know. I don't know how that works out. But either way, I did enjoy M3GAN. I had a lot of fun with it. Watching it the second time, I still enjoyed it. And if you've got 100 minutes to kill, you could do a lot worse than this. Yeah. And just watching it, I'm like, Jesus Christ, you could go anywhere with this. Like, okay, we got to do a M3GAN 2, and then we got to do a M3GAN 3. But then I'm like, all right, you're like, let's make M3GAN 19 years old, and let's make her a sex bot, and there's a whole story you could get out of that. I mean, this property is distributed by Universal, so obviously there's ties there. I'm like, okay, holy shit. In another couple of movies, we could totally do a Chucky M3GAN crossover film. I'm like, that would be fucking money in the bank, the way that Chucky is still so popular. And that TV show I do really enjoy. So, to me, it was an entertaining film, and there's a million ways you could go with this in the future.
And you said the magic word. It was 102 minutes.
Yes, 100%. I was just telling a buddy of mine because somehow Terrifier came up, and I'm like, he was saying that he was. Oh, I know. He was talking to a girl that was saying she really liked Terrifier. He hadn't seen either, and I'm like, well, yeah, the fucking Terrifier 1, it sucked, but it was like 90 minutes or 100 minutes. But Terrifier 2 is 2.5 hours. I'm like, that's fucking insane. I Spit on Your Grave. I like it. I like the original. The fucking sequel, which came out like 2 years ago, is 2.5 hours. No, like, what no fucking need. Yeah, if M3GAN was 2.5 hours, I would have been ready to slit my own throat. But 100 minutes was fine. And actually, I'll be honest, Pete, that was the one thing too. I did think at 100 minutes, yeah, maybe we could have shaved off a few minutes. Like
10 minutes, yeah.
Even the beginning where like the little girl's parents and whatever, like you could have just told us, yeah, the little girl's parents got killed in a car accident. We didn't need to see it. There was a couple minutes they could have shaved off. But yeah, I did. Overall, I give it a thumbs up.
Cool. Jamie, your thoughts on M3GAN?
Yeah, like Chris said, the beginning could have been shaved off because we know it's going to happen anyways watching the movie. We know the vibe of that kind of scene that opens a horror movie. We knew it was going to happen. I had fun watching this movie, even though I had issues with it, which I found weird because I have a lot of issues with it, but I was able to forgive every single issue because it's fun to look at. It's pretty to look at. It's a good looking movie. So I guess it's kind of like a hot chick being annoying. You're easily going to forgive the hot chick, but if you got some ugly person being annoying, you're going to be pissed off. It's less forgiving, kind of. And this is a pretty movie to look at. So my favorite aspect of this movie, it's kind of weird. Allison Williams, her ability to act being so selfish, because there's a reason why I don't have kids. I'm too damn selfish to have kids. And if someone put their kid into my house, my facial expressions would look just like hers, trying to hold back, trying to have patience. What, you want me to read a bedtime story? So I was able to relate with that. So I thought that was really well done by her. But the few issues I do have, I don't know. You guys tell me if any of this bothered you. They tell us in the movie that Allison Williams' character is smart enough to make this doll. So we have to believe she's smart enough. But did you buy that character was smart enough to put that doll together? She's not even smart enough to put something over a hole in her fence so the neighbor's dog stops coming over. So I just wasn't buying that. I don't believe... I assume this movie takes place in present day or maybe the near future. I don't believe a doll like that can exist in that time. It's way too advanced. There's nothing around there that acts remotely close to that doll. And just to have that one doll there, I mean, the doll is pretty much more advanced than Data in Star Trek The Next Generation. That takes place in like 2367. Data can't take your temperature from across the room. They said the doll costs $10,000 to buy. The thing would cost $10 million to make, let alone 10K.
That one I did notice, JD. I remember when they said how much it was. I was like, what? I was like, that sounds too fucking cheap.
So if you're trying to make this doll, maybe this sounds petty. I don't know. But I did say I forgave it all, but I still had issues.
You're right. They did set that up with a whole line about it's going to cost about the same as a Tesla.
He says and higher or lower, and the girl was like, lower.
Yeah, but she said a lower end Tesla.
It'd be 10,000 Tesla.
That's not 10,000 then.
Yeah. And if you're making this doll so it's affordable to rich people, you're going to cut some corners in it. It's going to be, it's a fucking toy, right? So it turns into this agile killing machine running on all fours like it was made to be a weapon all of a sudden. And then it has this personality where it has zingers. Now's the time you run. Like, so now it's got a personality on top of everything. How much did that cost to put? So they do say that you didn't know what you were making and that it advanced itself, blah, blah, blah. But it was, those were some big pills to swallow. The Bruce ending, shame on me for not seeing that Chekhov's gun when they introduced that in the first scene. Shame on me. And it's kind of like the Power Crusher or whatever from Aliens as well. So that's, but here's another thing. I'm sure it takes some practice to get that thing to move right. No, let alone using it for the first time as an 8-year-old girl.
The thing I thought was, it was like, who knows how long it's been sitting in the corner, and it immediately worked. Yeah. You know, she turns it on. It's like, wouldn't you have to charge it up or something? You know. Or...
But when it was over, when Megan's dancing, all right, it's kind of a famous scene.
I wish there was more dancing. It was too funny.
Picks up the sword and goes after him. I was smiling. So I was never bored. I was kind of enjoying it, but I was like, look at that. I don't know about that. But I was still smiling while I was doing this. The most disturbing part of the movie, the one that got me here, that probably got Aloe too, because he's a toy collector.
Oh, yeah.
Is when she has to open up that collectible toy. And not only does she open it, she stabs it like it's a heart in her hand.
Yeah, she's no collector.
Starts ripping it open on purpose to make it for collectors like me to go, no, fuck that kid. She's gonna play with it for a second.
Yeah.
Don't
but also, like, didn't she work for a toy company? Shouldn't she? Isn't she an inventor? Then wouldn't there be fucking toys all over the place to give to release?
You would think,
right?
You would think, right?
Right.
The impression I got is she was just a code writer. She wrote the programs. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
When you're saying no, but the thing is that, like when Jamie was saying, how can she do it? I don't think they made it seem like she did the whole thing. You know, what got me was that they made the first M3GAN, and then because he didn't put some glue in there, where the hell it was, it had like an AI stroke and its face looped, and then it just blew up. And then all of a sudden, like within 2 days, she's able to invent this thing that was kind of a semi-failure that was still in test. That's the only thing I have with, not a reality. The whole thing is not a reality, but that was the thing that got me, is like she did this in all of a sudden 3 days because her job was on the line. There were a couple, that's my take on that part.
Cool. Davy?
Yeah, I hated this film the first time I saw it and enjoyed it a lot more the second time when I was a little bit 4 feet to the wind in Copenhagen. But it's exactly the way you should watch this film, because to me, I hate Blumhouse generally. I think they go for every cheap scare in the book, and I think they do here as well. You know, when Megan's becoming evil, all of a sudden the lights flicker for no reason, just because that's a scary thing to do in movies. And I think that's Blumhouse for you all over. They just do the cheapest way to make you go, oh, a horror scene's coming up. Whereas A24 make great horror movies. I think there's these two companies that are, you know, at the top of the food chain at the moment. A24 rule the world. Blumhouse are happy to just scrape the bottom of the barrel and just hope that something rises. And every so often something does. And they're doing an Exorcist trilogy next. What the fuck? Yeah. And Ellen Barkin's coming back. No, Burstyn. Both of them probably. Who cares? Bring them all back. Bring all the Ellen DeGeneres.
And Barkin's always welcome.
Yeah. Well, no, I've seen her recently. Bless her. She looks more artificial than M3GAN. But the actual character of M3GAN, I think, is the saviour of this film. Because you go into it and you think, oh no, it's just going to be Chucky. And not specifically the Chucky that we've seen for the last 25 years, but specifically the Chucky from the remake in 2019 when they changed it to be AI. So they get rid, in the new Chucky, they get rid of the soul of the serial killer thing, and it's a sinister AI, the one with Mark Hamill doing the voice, that came out, 2019, something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
And this, in a lot of places, got a lot too close to that film for me. But the way they changed M3GAN to be so needy, so controlling, I thought that actually works better with the female character. Because she's almost not becoming a friend, she's becoming like a surrogate mother. That's the way M3GAN sees herself. And yeah, she develops a little too fast. As Chris said, there's a lot of Terminator vibes in here, so she's learning awfully quick here, but we don't get to see the almost the training montage that we did in Terminator 2, where John Connor's having to teach, right, smiling and, no, you don't kill people, and, are you calling Moa a dipshit? All that stuff. So we kind of skipped that. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it in the end when we start to get into and I know exactly why they kept that open scene in as well, because nothing horrific happens for the first 45 minutes of the whole movie. So if you don't have that car crash at the start, where's the horror? Nothing for ages. So you have the scary car crash, and then for ages and ages it's a family drama, and Jamie said Chekhov's robot set up, and it's just how's what's her name, little girl, Cora, something like that. Katie. Never heard that name, Katie. Katie.
Cady. It's kind of.
Yeah. Right. Fuck. Cora. I'm calling her that's the real name. Cora is living with her aunt, who for the whole time I was thinking, is that the girl from Girls, or is that Dexter's sister from Dexter? Because she looks like double R's as well. Jennifer Carpenter. But I thought she put in a really great performance. You have to like her enough to be able to sympathize with her, but also think you need to spend more time with this kid. I thought she balanced that perfectly. She never became too much of you deserve to be, harassed by this wicked evil robot, but she also never went too far in the other direction either. So I thought she balanced it nicely, just about right. Where I did think the film really did let itself down was the whole tech company itself stuff. They spent so long setting up the big event and how this was going to be the big launch, and that doesn't even happen. It's all over in 10 seconds. M3GAN doesn't even go to it. She walks straight out the door after just everybody sees the lift, the elevator open, and two dead bodies in it. So that's all of a damp squib for me. The whole setup of this great set piece was a damp squib, because M3GAN just leaves and then takes the car and goes home. Whereas I think what should have happened if M3GAN goes on a real spree and we see something more a bit, horrific there. And there's obviously a reason why they have that scene in the woods where the boy is the one that attacks M3GAN, and there's a reason why they so ridiculously set up that he's a much older boy, because you can't really have an 8-year-old being tortured to death like he was. That wouldn't fly too much with the censors. So for no reason at all, he's 15, 16. I liked that. I liked M3GAN pulling his ears off. I thought that stuff was great. That's exactly the tone I wanted from this movie. If it doubled down on that, I love the stuff with the neighbour. M3GAN going after her. I really wanted M3GAN to be more of an avenging dark spirit who you're secretly thinking everything she does is kind of good. You know, she benefits the family. But
we could do that in the future. Look, that's exactly what they did with the Puppet Master films.
Yeah, but
they started out as heels, and then they became baby faces by the third movie. So
yeah, but I think they think that Megan's a baby face straight away, because they've marketed her like that. She's already been marketed as the cool dancing Megan, and you know she's all over TikTok and things. So I think they should double down on the campness of Megan, the inherent stupidity of the whole premise, and have her be, because they've already set her up to look like Peggy Lipton or something. You know, she's got this ridiculously old-fashioned look to her. You know, have her go to Hollywood in the next one. Have her go nuts at the Oscars. Do something bonkers and ridiculous, and do it in 90 minutes. You know, if you don't have that much of a budget, then don't make it nearly 2 hours. Make it 90 minutes, and then you can keep it a bit tighter. But overall, it was a fun movie. I don't think the kills, I mean, the unrated cut, yeah, it did add a little bit of gore, but I don't think the gore was really the story of the film. I think the story of the film was the relationships between daughter and aunt, if you will, and then daughter and surrogate mother. And that was much more the interesting part of the film. So that's where the heart of the film lay. The robot was just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. That there just happens to be this super strength robot just sitting in the corner that was mentioned for 2 seconds early in the film.
Yeah, I mean, whoever said the power lifter from Aliens was dead on. Yeah. I mean, I was actually waiting for the little girl to say, "Get away from her, you bitch."
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, they didn't go there, but I was waiting for it.
It wasn't far off the ridiculous part where the sword came out in Terrifier 2, and you know, you're the chosen one. All of a sudden, fuck off. But anyway, let's not relive that Vietnam. The end of the film, I thought, they're going to give us a little sequel bait here, and I'm quite glad that they didn't do anything too explicit. They just have the AI turn itself on. It didn't say Siri, but the surrogate Siri just turns itself on. So they can take it wherever they want in the next one, you know, set it 5 years in the future and some mad inventor thinks, you know, because that guy sent the plans out, didn't he? The guy who was trying to do industrial espionage. So yes, they find
2 ways. Yeah.
Some scientist finds the plans and then, you know, thinks, well, I can, you know, whatever they got wrong, I can get right this time. But I know they are coming back, the 2 main actresses. So I'm happy with that.
So they probably won't go 5 years forward because you can't age up that little girl 5 years.
Yeah, I suppose it depends on what age is she. I think she's 11 in real life, so you know you could maybe get away with 2 or 3 years. But it's horror sequels, isn't it? So this will probably be out in about 20 minutes.
I was going to say they're probably working feverishly on this thing right now.
Yeah.
Oh, because it's got a January 2024 release date. So there
you go. January. What a great time for a horror movie.
Keep going before people forget.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
But is it worth a watch? Yes, but it's not up there with the best of Chucky. It's not up there with the new series of Chucky. It's not even up there with that great Twilight Zone episode with Telly Savalas, the Tiny Tina doll.
Oh, Talking Tina.
It's not even up there with that. But for Blumhouse, this is a bloody good film because normally just the sight of their logo makes me rich, and this was fun. This was fun for them.
Cool. So, Dan, we haven't even mentioned him yet, but what did you think of Ronnie Chang's asshole boss performance? I mean, he's
I've had a number of asshole bosses like that in the past.
I think we all have, right?
Yeah. One myself, but I'm just too burned out to be that much of an asshole anymore. So no, he was good. He was a little over the top. You see, he had some comedic approach to what he was doing. He was a little over the top. I mean, they did have kind of like, let's face it, when Megan pulls that kid's ear off, I don't think an ear stretches that much. That was like a Wile E. Coyote moment. There's a lot of humor thrown into it. The funny thing about the look of Megan and David had said, it looks like Peggy Lipton. Actually, when I saw this film, 2 things came to mind. One was a Wes Craven film called Deadly Friend from the 80s.
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
A dead neighbor girl who he's this computer whiz at that time, kid or prodigy. He puts a computer brain in his next door dead neighbor's body, and she comes back, and then shit goes south at one point.
Does somebody get beheaded by a basketball in that movie?
Yes, that's the only memorable scene in that movie. Other than that, it's shit.
And that film, not to change, somebody get off track. That film was originally made to be like, that was Wes Craven's foray into like teenage angst and drama. Did not have any heart. And Universal came back and said, whoa, 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 whoa. You're Wes Craven. You did Nightmare on Elm Street. You did this. You did no. So they went back and filmed all that, the vengeance, all the blood. They went back and filmed it and inserted it. That's why the film kind of has like this weird, pacing. But anyhow, getting back to the one now, the thing that reminded me, aside from Deadly Friend, the other thing that caught me is there was there was an artist in the '60s that was named Margaret Keane. And Margaret Keane used to do these paintings of little girls with long hair and pets, and little girls in particular with huge saucer eyes.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They became extremely popular, like hanging on dorm walls and stuff. And that's the first thing that hit me, because she has some overly large, expressionistic eyes.
Dan, what's the name of the artist again?
Margaret Keane. K-E-A, Margaret. Like Margaret Keane, K-E-A-N-E.
Wasn't that movie Big Eyes or something?
Yes,
with
Big Eyes was about her and her husband, because her husband took.
Oh yeah, I saw that movie with Christoph Waltz.
And but those paintings look like. I said, wow, that's.
Oh yeah, wow, 100%. I'm looking at them right now. Woo.
And and I think that's why they put the expressionistic eyes there. But the thing about it is that, as Chris was saying, is 100 minutes long, so we got to get to the chase in this film in less than 2.5 hours, like Terrifier.
Yeah.
What I liked about
this too.
Yeah, true. I still haven't seen that one of these days.
I like
it's a very big. It's a very big thing in Japanese culture as well. The massive eyes, in terms of anime and whatnot.
But the thing I liked about this film is that you watch her evolve. She evolves fast, and she learns, because the first kill is rather just a simple revenge murder. Then the kills become more sophisticated, like she's plotting them out and thinking ahead, to the point where the final thing is that when somebody is killed, and I'm not going to say who it is, she goes to this other person, and says, I didn't kill anybody, you did. So she's manipulated, she's actually evolving. One point during the film, when the aunt, who was sitting there at the table, and she's telling Megan to quiet, shut down, no. And then Megan goes, no, she doesn't. And all of a sudden, Megan says something. I noticed the second time I watched it, she says, download progress. Mm-hmm. In other words, she's evolving. That's how fast she's evolving. And what made this very significant to me is just like when I, perfect timing, when I sat there and went on vacation, I decided to watch 5, Final Destination movies before I get on a plane. This one here, I had seen a segment a few days before on the Last Week Tonight with John Oliver on Showtime, and they had a segment about AI. And AI is to the point where it's starting to write copy for speeches and newspapers, because it evolves so much. So I was more intrigued with the fact that this AI is evolving rather fast, over 90 minutes or 100 minutes. But I was kind of intrigued with that. That made it even more scary, because AI is out there. They're not going to run around like, the Terminator, 2 Terminator and stuff like this. But overall, I love the film. I liked it. It started out slow. I like how she runs. She walks like straight as an arrow. Yeah. And she has this creepy way. Not even the whole thing. She was like spider running with the kid. I'm talking. She just walks with this determination and this straight robotic body. And then shit happens and things don't work out well. And the other thing is the fact is that the aunt is using the niece as much as she's using the niece to have a babysitter for her niece, because she doesn't have the time. But the other side of the coin, she's using the fragile state of her niece, who had just lost her parents, to test this fucking thing. Yeah. To make sure it's emotional. And that's why when they have the first presentation with her, M3GAN, and the head of the company is there, all of a sudden it's like he's blown away. But he basically used her niece to prove it through and then once again it all goes from him. And yes, the Rock'em Sock'em robot meets the new Lost in Space robot together, that type of thing. That was kind of like unnecessary. It really was. I mean, I knew at one point we met this thing in the beginning. I'm going, God, this garage sale piece of shit is going to show up later. I know it's going to happen, and there you go. It's like bringing my Big Gar Lewin. They should have brought Big Gar Lewin. That would have been good. Or, one of those toys from the 60s. But it was overall, I liked it. I enjoyed it. It's one of those things I watched and a second time, and I picked up on things like download progress. I think the blood was handled tastefully. You didn't have to see it all. You get the point, which makes it even more intriguing. But I could see the thing is when she left, when you go to the end, it's predictable. You know, oh, now they're in the garage. There's the big fight. Here comes a Rock'em Sock'em Robot.
It did turn into Child's Play, didn't it? Just the mother fight, yeah.
And then it's like, okay, I mean, it's so much better. As someone had said, how did she just left that, did not drive home, but had just like went out, and she just goes rampant. You know, rampage. Because one thing I noticed about it in the film, and I don't know if that's anything to do with it, why she got so violent and so crazy. When the dog attacked her.
Yes. I didn't pick up on that the first time. The second time, I was like, oh, the dog biting her is what tweaked her.
Right. And she falls, and you see her eye go like, tick, like her eye does something like, all right, he bit a wire or something. And now that's it. Game over. Forget it. Tell the neighbor, get the fuck out of here. Move. You don't need to be here. And that's so it had a lot of nuances in it. I thought, as Chris said, the story's well written overall, and the characters are developed as much as you can. And within that 100-minute scan, you know, I've seen a lot of movies in 100 minutes. I really don't remember the characters' names. Let's think of any Friday the 13th movie other than Kevin Bacon. Who do we remember? You know, you don't remember
Shelley, curly-haired Shelley. Come on.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, overall, you don't care about it. You know, this one, you didn't care about the characters, but they had some kind of, there was baggage and history, and everybody was giving
Mark, Paul. I'm just going to list all the Friday the 13th characters now that you've challenged us.
You have way too much time. But anyway, overall, I liked it. It's worth a watch. It's worth a second watch to pick up on nuances. After that, it's a one and done, I think, until the sequel comes out, and just hopefully they don't just fucking train wreck it. You know,
I did find it interesting that they're making a doll, right? That's going to be this hip new friend for your kid in 20 whatever year that takes place in. Hip new doll. We're going to dress it like this.
Yeah.
We're going to put those kind of clothes on it. That looks very old fashioned. That's not how I would dress it. But they need to make it kind of spooky at the same time. I know.
Exactly, because the same company had a hit with Annabelle. And that's the Blumhouse way. So
you got to make the doll look creepy.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see in the sequel, like the approach they take is, you know, are they is the toy company going to decide, well, we kind of fucked this up a little bit, but we could do some tweaks and we'll make it right? Or are they going to like totally ixnay all that, but is M3GAN going to come back like this killing machine, like you guys said, and the second movie is like the Carnage film, right? I don't know.
Remember, that's why I said, you know, you make it a sex bot. Because, I mean, okay, you want to sell some of these to kids at 10 grand a pop, you'll sell a couple. But you want to age this thing up, make it older looking, give it big tits, and it'll screw you. You'll sell a shit ton of these things. Yeah. And you could do a fucking whole movie out of that. Plus, Jamie mentioned weaponizing it. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, now the military is going to get involved, and we're taking over, and we're going to make an army of M3GANs, or an army of...
Do both, an army of big-titted M3GANs.
Yeah, I mean, you really could go...
like the robots and screamers.
Or Dr. Goldfoot with Vincent Price, yeah.
There you go. Or what was that fucking Mike Myers movie? Didn't he
have the sex bots?
The fembots.
Yeah, Austin Powers.
Yeah. So Craig, I think one of the things that intrigued me about this movie, everybody talks about AI these days and how, you know, AI is going to take over the world, and now this ChatGPT thing is all the craze on the internet and whatnot. So, like, I mean, did you like kind of did you anticipate the way this movie was laid out, knowing kind of what we knew about it? Did it kind of play out the way you thought? And do you think they could even take it further with this whole AI thing?
Yeah, kind of. And I just from what Jamie was saying about, right, you know, with the way that she was dressed, I kind of thought that to have it like that so that you don't sexualize the because it's a toy, because, you know, someone would like a pervy person would buy it. And because the scene with the little boy, the boy in the woods, I thought he was going to try to rape the doll, because you kind of saw he pushed her down and he had her face to the side, you know, and it was, and my wife and I watched the unrated version first, and then just the other night we watched the theatrical cut, and right away both of us I think at the same time went, ooh, like
He takes
at
off a
that part.
shoe.
Yeah,
Too.
and that's where I thought, something, kind of gross might happen here. But overall, I enjoyed the movie too, and it was it was fun, and it was kind of one of those movies that I thought it's safe for if you're going with your wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, what have you, that is not into horror, that or even that it's like, this is totally fine, you can watch this, and you can have some fun with it, because it's not particularly scary, at least I didn't find. And the blood that's in it, from comparing the two versions, I mean, yeah, it's a little bit more, but really it's not that bad when you watch the PG-13 version. I thought it was more unrated because of the swearing. I mean, because there was just a lot more just general swearing in it that I took notice of. Although I was glad the one scene with the boy Brendan, where the mom says, "Oh, I have fun." He's, "Fuck off, Carol," and he's that I thought was funny.
That's funny.
And easily the funniest part in the movie, and my wife and I both cracked up at it twice, at the same scene, when they come into the camp, and the bubbly camp counselor comes up to the car and says, "Oh, are you guys ready to have some fun today? And is that your sister?" And then Megan turns around to look at her, and she goes, "Oh, Jesus Christ!" And then and then when they go back to her face while Megan is saying, it's like, "You equipped me with GPS, so I can't be lost." And she's just like, the counselor's just looking
what is this
at her like that. I thought that part was funny. I got immediate RoboCop vibes right from the beginning because of the focus on this. And that was right in the
Prime
beginning
Directive
of RoboCop, when they put screwed the screen on him or whatever. But also the part you guys were saying with not having the car crash in the beginning, I kind of thought that was good to have, because they had established that the little girl was homeschooled, and so they had to, I think they kind of had to give a reason besides, a lot of times, at least, well, I always think the kids are homeschooled, either their parents live in the sticks somewhere, or the kid is bullied or picked on or something, and that's why the parent is now becoming the teacher also. In that little scene in the car, when she takes her seatbelt off, it's like, oh, her Furby, fell down, and she wanted to go pick it up. The mom freaks out, like you're in zero gravity and you'll float away. It's like, "Put your seatbelt back on," and so it's like, maybe she had, like, a total helicopter mom that wouldn't let this kid go out, because every time Katie goes out to interact with other people that are not Megan or the aunt, she just cannot seem to. It has poor social skills with other kids. Of course, something bad happens, and she doesn't, immediately go out to play with them. The scene where Megan is actually watching her play alone, where she has like her little suction cup arrow thing. I mean, she's not playing with other children, so it's not. It's sort of unnatural way with this kid. And then it's like the first time she does get to go out and interact with other children, another kid gets killed, as a result. But overall, I did have some fun, fun with the movie. And yeah, it was weird, as Chris had mentioned, that the unrated and the PG-13 were almost identical in time, because you would think the unrated version would be longer, at least by a few minutes, to make it unrated. But yeah, it's one. I don't think it's. I think it's you might as well, if you have access, to watch the unrated version, because it's really not a huge difference between the two. So if someone has Peacock, you might as well just watch that unrated version. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they go with it, because there's, at least I thought there was two ways. At the end, she sort of Megan, I guess you would say, transfers her consciousness to Elsie, the AI, that's like watching over the house. And then the assistant Kurt stole stole the software, and who knows what he was able to do with it to sell it to a competitor or something, where they had already established that there's people that will make a cheaper version of something. So maybe someone will make a like in The Simpsons, you have to flip the evil switch, on the doll, and a cheap
Crusty
version,
doll, yeah.
a cheap version of M3GAN that is going to go bonkers on the town. But just like Chris said, there's any number of ways that you can go with this, at least, so they're not just pigeonholed into the doll's just going to come back as is, or something like that. Although they seem to have established the look of that doll, in the picture, like Jamie has there. So it would be a disservice to not have it look similar to that. But I would be shocked that if it were dressed the same, that it would make it more stylish or something to go along with the sassy attitude that the robot has, to give it more of a modernized look and interaction with some other little kid.
Yeah.
Do you know, given what we saw on Sunday, the one thing I thought I'd love to see a sequel do is, because she's such a Hollywood glamour looking doll, have the M3GAN doll take off, and it works this time, and it's for some reason hosting at the Academy Awards, and then it goes on a rampage. Because I was just picturing, imagine it was M3GAN and not Will Smith going on a rampage at the Oscars, and I think there's a movie in there. I really do. Yeah,
we like the monkey in Nope.
Yeah.
Going.
I have a question though. The unrated, I don't know if you remember, but the unrated version versus the PG-13 version, are those scenes like when the kid goes "fuck you, mom"? Is that in there at all? Does he say something different? Is it
that part's the same? But some of the things that I do remember is in the unrated version, when M3GAN is fighting with the ant at the end, she says, "If you say a word, I'll tear your fucking neck off."
Right.
In the regular version, it's just, "If you make a sound, I'll tear your neck off," or it says something, or
I was gonna say, I believe it's a weird MPAA ratings thing that now you can make a PG-13 movie and you're
one
allowed
F
one fuck.
Yes,
one or two.
The one
like you can't use it for what it means. You can't say I want to
not as
say fuck off.
Like the one that I famously remember is one of those X-Men movies with the younger crowd, like
it was the first one, First Class.
When young Magneto and young Professor X are talking to Wolverine, and he goes "fuck off."
Fuck off.
Yeah, that's the one I always remember. Probably the first time I heard them say "fuck" in a.
I think the first one was. I actually do know the first one rather sadly. It was Master and Commander when they rescue another ship from the French mob, and they're pulling them on the boat, and they go "fucking pirates," and that was a PG-13. And they said because it was in the context of the time, and they're only saying how much they don't.
Woman in Red. There's a movie called Woman in Red from the 80s with Gene Wilder.
That's great.
Yeah.
It shows Bush.
Yeah.
Well, if you remember,
I remember being a kid going, "Whoa!"
16 Candles has boobs in the shower, and Molly Ringwald says at the beginning, "They fucking forgot my birthday."
Yeah.
And that was
PG.
There's a few that they really let through, and I
they
don't
didn't
know
have
how.
PG-13.
There's a Christopher Lee Dracula that's a G, and I can't remember which one it is, but it's like
4 of the 5 original Planet of the Apes movies are rated G. That's
you know what, Alan Alda? This reminds me. Alan Alda said one time when he would write scripts for MASH, he would put like 15 hells and damns in there just to get it down to 4. Because if he put 4 in there,
they get left 2.
Yeah. One of the other scenes from M3GAN, that I remember right in the beginning, the boss, the Asian guy was mad, storms, and he says to her, it's like, "And next time put a key code on this fucking door," and then, but the regular version, he just says, "Put a key code on the door." So
it's really, you're not missing
and
much.
Since he's filmed from far enough away, they didn't have to probably reshoot. They just had to do looping or whatever to get him to say something different.
Craig, you mentioned him, and I think the RoboCop comparisons, I think that is the place where they should have been a bit tighter. The board should have been a bit more dark comic and funny, in the way that, remember how hilarious it was with the old man in RoboCop and stuff, and Ronnie Cox's character. I mean, they watched that guy get blasted 300 times and then go,
it was just a glitch. It's just a glitch. You call that the glitch?
It's like, that's what we needed a bit more of in this. A kind of, they don't see any violence or something, even though it's right in front of them. That would have been funnier, I think. They're still just seeing dollar signs.
But nowadays, when they rate films, you always see in the beginning, rated so-and-so, like smoking, cursing, underwear.
Strong sexual content, or
So of course the limitations are, it's really narrowed down. So
another quick funny scene, at least I remember from the beginning, because there were quite a few parts. I mean, but it was just something little. And Dan, you probably know maybe this one on rewatch. Right when the aunt brings Katie into the house, the Elsie, the AI, says like, "You have 5 new messages and 5 new Tinder requests," or something, and she goes, "Yeah, shut off,"
AI in its finest hour.
So it was.
Hey, did you guys ever see Die Hard on regular TV?
The melon farmer and stuff. Yeah,
Bruce Willis says "Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker" in the movie. It's kind of famous. If you watch it on regular TV back in the day, overdubbed over his voice was a totally different voice. Wasn't even Bruce Willis's voice. And it said "Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon," and there's no Mr. Falcon in the fucking movie.
It was melon farmer over here.
That's funny.
The best is Scarface. If you watch that edited, where'd you get that scar from? Eating pineapple? I mean, it's they have the best. The
Big Lebowski.
The best scenes in that.
The Big Lebowski, when John Goodman goes off, and this is what happens when you fucking stranger in the ass. And when they put it on TV, it's like, this is what happens when you chase a guy through the Alps, or something stupid like this. Totally off kilter,
I can just see drawing up in the Swiss Alps. That'd be quite the movie.
That's why I remember for a while there, I couldn't watch any of these like R-rated films on regular TV because you knew they would butcher that.
Cut to shreds.
What's really bad is when they get someone to do the voiceover that doesn't, like Craig said, it doesn't sound anything like the original actor.
It's like a Jackie Chan dub or something.
It's always mixed louder, right? So it's just like.
But didn't Al Pacino did his own voiceovers in Scarface though? Didn't they? I don't think that was another actor.
I don't remember.
I'm not sure.
But still, it's just so
nobody does my voice except for me.
The language substitutions that they make in that are just hilarious with all the, forget you, and things like that.
Forget you, Kaminski. Forget you.
Like one of the funniest is Goodfellas. Go and watch like the edited version of Goodfellas.
Why do people want to watch these films if they can't handle swearing, for fuck's sake?
It's crazy.
Christ on a bike.
Yeah.
It's so fun. Not to change the subject, because one time there was on Mad TV where Will Sasso used to play Tony Soprano, and they'd have these skits, and they said, well, here's the edited version for television, and it's all cut to shreds, and it just has the opening credits and then the end, eating pasta. No, they couldn't put anything else in.
Nothing else, right?
They tried. It just they didn't want to,
Yeah. So I also enjoyed M3GAN. And I kind of went into it with like limited expectations, and it kept my attention throughout the whole movie. I think it was the right length. Maybe could have trimmed a little bit, but for the most part, it didn't bore me at all. It went through nicely. Yeah, parts of it felt kind of derivative, like I've seen this before, but I think they really added in the whole AI element really, really well. But I think for me, the core of the film, I think there was a message in this film. And I don't know if any of you guys felt like in the beginning of the film, you feel bad for Katie, the little girl, right? She loses her family. She's all alone. She's got to go live with her aunt that she doesn't really know, who is totally not prepared to watch over a kid because she is a millennial of today who's probably working way too many hours, has not much of a social life, right, outside of work, career first, can't get a date, right? So she's on Tinder, all this kind of stuff. So here they are, they come together. And now all of a sudden the aunt's I gotta change my life now for this kid. I don't know what I'm doing. And then figures, well, and how often does this happen in society? Young parents or older parents have kids. Kids need a lot of attention. They have busy careers. Well, what do? We can't give you any of our time. Let me give you an iPad. Let me give you a video game system. Let me give you some technology to keep yourself occupied, right? Mm-hmm. So parts of in the beginning, like the first half of the film, they're after a while, like Katie, to her credit, right? She's just basically doing what she's been told. Here's your new plaything. Here's this new doll for you that's a robot, and that's going to be your new best friend because I don't have the time to dedicate towards you. So Katie treats this doll, M3GAN, as her friend, her only friend. She's got no parents anymore. She's now in a new school, a new house. I don't know my aunt. She's now here watching over me. So I'm going to put all my eggs in this one basket. And how many times do you hear kids of today who don't have friends, don't leave the house? What do they want to do? They want to sit watching TV, play video games, go on YouTube, do things on their phones. So really, I think at the heart of the story is all about how people, and specifically children in modern times, get so connected to technology that can really backfire on you, and that's exactly what the movie is all about, and they show you how that can happen. So I think it was very timely to kind of the world we live in today. And like Chris said, I can totally see them taking this in all sorts of different directions, sequel after sequel after sequel to come, as long as they don't make the exact same movie over and over again.
That's what I worry about. Yeah,
I don't think they have to.
Part two's got to be similar enough to the first one, but different enough as well, and that is a tough balance.
Yeah, like you don't have to keep bringing back the M3GAN over and over again, but variations of M3GAN.
Right.
For sure.
Like a universal soldier type thing, with the doll, but they have to keep it female, and
for sure,
with that name and everything, and probably the look.
M3GAN, bad M3GAN, get two M3GANs in.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm thinking maybe
like in Chucky, in the recent Chucky show, they did that same thing, Davy. They had a good Chucky and a bad Chucky.
They can go the G.I. Joe route. Back in the day, G.I. Joe was one person, but now you can have an army, and the army is called M3GAN, and it stands for some kind of something to do with army, and you have a whole army of Terminator.
Really could go a lot of different ways.
Yeah. But all in all, good directing. The film looked good. Could it have been a little more violent, perhaps? But my guess is we're going to see more of that in the sequel. Is my guess. I thought Allison Williams was tremendous in this. I liked her in Girls. I thought she was really good in Get Out, and I liked her even more in this film. And I think one of you guys mentioned she does a really good job at, being kind of clueless about a lot of things in her life and trying to juggle this career and whatnot. And she does come across as, I'm being selfish, but man, I don't have any clue how to be a mom or even how to be an aunt. How do I take care of this kid? I don't know nothing about kids. And
it's a great scene with her when she has to read the kid a bedtime story. She goes, I got my phone. Oh, the app needs updated. Just to add that extra awkwardness to the scene was.
Well, and I think it also could give a pause to people that she's, the Allison Williams, she obviously single, no kids. Her sister has a family, but yet her sister named her as the guardian, and she had the option to transfer to the aunt. Well, it's almost one of those things. It's like, be careful what you sign on to be a guardian. If you're not prepared to be a parent, or just simply don't want to, you shouldn't. All of a sudden it's like one of you had said, I had to change your entire life now for this, but be careful, if you decide it's like, I would like to be, so-and-so's.
A lot of responsibility, right? It's not like inheriting a cat or a dog.
Well, they mentioned 3 times that the old parents in Florida are willing to take the kid. So
Yeah.
it's like, how shit must they be? They must be crack dealers or something to want to have this aunt be the guardian instead of them. So there may be another universe where there's just a drama like on Golden Pond or something that's exactly the same start, but then it just turns into that. These two old folks having to look after a kid with no horror whatsoever.
They could very well
Maybe-
take this whole thing to
maybe-
Florida to go visit the
Greg, I was just going to say that.
And
it turns into the bad
Megan somehow can probably digitally transfer her consciousness, perhaps to the to the grandparents' residence or something, and go from there.
We'll see.
Wasn't it her husband's parents? That's
Yes.
why it wasn't their parents.
Let's be honest though, Dan. They deserved to die, didn't they? I mean, those two people were stupid as fuck. I mean, when they were sitting in the middle of the road,
Yeah,
he was driving pretty fast too.
In the middle of the road, you stop to have this instead of pulling over and trying to find the
Yeah, he's driving. He literally just like turned around. Like,
Look,
they stop him.
Look,
Let's have a
truck
5-minute
truck with
conversation
logs
about how we
on.
should move forward. Yeah.
And did
Oh,
you
they
guys think
deserved it.
those Furby? I thought those Furby dolls were awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say, you mentioned it
no,
earlier,
those,
Craig.
the teeth were terrifying, man.
That opening, that fake Furby commercial was fucking genius.
Yeah, it was funny.
Well, and
it's like just a little bit
sitting in the back
demented.
seat and sitting. You
know
what else is funny?
I thought it was a real commercial. I thought it was like I don't know Peacock show commercials.
Totally, it was funny, but yet totally believable that somebody would make this product and kids would go fucking goo goo gaga for it.
Yeah, of course they would. Yeah, of course.
Furbies were popular. What did they make?
Yeah, I don't remember what it was actually called. It looked like a 10th generation Furby, with with all the things that it could do. But I just thought it was funny with all the little, and it had little sassy sayings, like when it fell off the seat, I think it said, "Oh, we're going for a ride," or something like that. And
they pooped.
Yeah. So a fun film. So we got basically 6 thumbs up here, which pretty cool. So for those of you watching, let us know what you thought of M3GAN if you had a chance to see it yet. If not, go check it out. We didn't give away too much of the end of the film. Sort of. I think it's out there. So if you haven't heard what the end is yet, and there's going to be sequels, obviously.
Not really the film you can spoil, is it? It goes exactly.
There's no cliffhanger. There's no big.
You know what you're getting into.
Yeah, it's not
if you haven't seen the movie and you're watching 6 guys talk about it, then it's shame on you.
What's your excuse?
You watch this after you watch them.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
exactly. So thanks, everybody. Stay tuned for our next episode. We're going to do one of those episodes we like to do every so often here on the various shows on Sea of Tranquility. We're going to talk about some of the popular horror movies of the decades that we just can't stand. So that's coming up.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, we can shit on some very popular films that maybe some of you watching really like and we don't. So that's
I got to rewatch 5 movies I hate.
There you go. So that's coming up, and we'll probably also do another bonus episode at some point because a couple of us have gone out and purchased that brand new 4K of Invaders from Mars, the sci-fi classic. Let's see, where is it? There it is, right there. Yeah, there it is. I'm pointing to it. So we'll be giving you a little bonus episode of that as well. For those of you who have not checked out that really, really great brand new restoration of Invaders from Mars, a very, very cool classic sci-fi film. So that's all coming up here on the Monsters Den. So this is on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube, all together, all the damn time.
All the damn time.
Same bat channel, same bat time, and all that good stuff. So stay tuned tomorrow morning for Friday morning at the Fun House with Martin Popoff, and then of course we got Ranking the Albums coming up on Sunday. So for Chris Allo, Jamie Laszlo, Davy Gallagher, Craig Kaminski, and Dan Brown, I am Pardo. Good night, everybody from the Monsters Den. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Take care. Bye bye.